It's space weather. Looking at the decaying Sunspot 2726 in 171 angstroms. Let's check it out in the magnetic spectrum. You can see lots of squiggly lines down here, lots of magnetic interactions going on. However, the magnetic influence of Sunspot 2726 has shrunk. Let's look at it in 304 angstroms, as there is some major plasma filament activity going on all around the sun. Check it out. The northeast limb, the northwest limb, and the southwest limb. Let it load, it's worth it. So yeah, massive plasma filament. Southwest limb, check it out. It's going to disperse, gone. And also in the northeast and northwest. The sunspot's magnetic fields have switched from beta to alpha, and there's only one umbra left. But before we get into that, let's talk about shoutouts. We changed our featured channels again, so head to youtube.com/smashomash and check out our featured channels. Sky Scholar, Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Suspicious Observers, David Schlottower, and Peter Schiff. We'll give you a little breakdown of what each one is before we continue with the update. Sky Scholar. This is the astronomy outlet for Dr. Pierre-Marie Robitaille, professor of radiology at Ohio State University. Watch all of his videos. He's going to tell you about the actual makeup of the sun, how classical astronomy violates every law of thermodynamics, from the 0th through the 3rd. He's going to talk about gas pressure. He's going to talk about solar spectra. You name it. He talks about the real observations and the real science. He even talks about how he ended up in the mythical science we're currently believing. Some of us. Now, Oppenheimer Ranch Project. Paleogeologist David Moriello takes you through various aspects of the grand solar minimum. Everything from disaster prepping, earthquakes and volcanoes, disastrous climate effects, meridional jet stream flow versus zonal jet stream flow, daily updates. Every day, doing GSM updates, how to grow food, survival supplies, etc. Next on the shoutouts list, Suspicious Observers, operated by Ben Davidson, featuring almost exclusively astronomy subjects, also covering things like earthquakes, earthquake prediction. Various websites will be linked. Please check that one out. This guy is attempting to reach a unified theory in physics so that we actually understand the universe around us instead of trying to find things that aren't there. Next, David Schlottower, meteorologist, understands the physics of the atmosphere, is not on any ridiculous money train by any mainstream news organizations. Check him out, doing daily updates, and when there's major weather, he'll do multiple updates per day. Enthusiastic and brilliant. Lastly, Peter Schiff, a real economist, one of the leading critics of the Federal Reserve System. Peter Schiff used to be the economic advisor to presidential candidate Ron Paul. He's coming at economics from a supply side or Austrian economics perspective. Please check it out, as Peter Schiff understands the bubble economy that we're in gold, silver, how cryptocurrency isn't a particularly good value, and how the government is really the source of all economic problems, especially things like fiat currency. All right, moving on, let's take a look at the real-time solar wind. By the way, as that loads, the song you're hearing is called Blacksmith, another original, available at soundclick.com/goldencatproductions. And like everything else we cover, there will be links in the description. All right, BTBZ angles pretty flat. Phi angles shifting around, indicating no consistent connection with any sort of coronal hole, magnetics, or anything like that. Solar wind density 6.05 protons per cubic centimeter. A small uptick in the solar wind speed. That's just to be expected here. 442. No major upticks in the solar wind speed expected anytime soon. Now, let's look at the earthquake situation in the last 8 hours. Fairly quiet, actually. No major quakes. 3.3 in Oklahoma, probably a frac quake. So Japan got a 5.0. Now Japan should be on alert for a 5.3 as a result of that 100-kilometer deep quake. Very quiet, actually. Look at spaceweathernews.com. Look at the rest of the data here. All right. X-ray flux, still off the floor from where it was, but still quite low. Nothing even venturing into the B flare range. Here you go. You can see that ACE and Discover agree fairly well. Magnetometer is looking weakening. It's entering into a range of lower highs and higher lows, kind of converging here. KP has been between 0 and 1 for the last 24 hours, so cosmic ray flux should be up. Electron flux is flatlining. Seeing a spike in this would not be any surprise, even though that sunspot's weakening. The F2 layer is quite discharged right now, actually. Looking a bit anomalously discharged. Surprised that's only up to 9 megahertz right now, so keep an eye on that. Here's your auroral forecasts. Here's your 10.7 centimeter radio flux, your sunspot number. And for those of you who don't tune in daily, last solar cycles comparison. See that downturn? Getting even weaker at the bottom of cycle 24. That's what they call a grand solar minimum, as we are at the bottom of a 400-year cycle. Now, let's get into some weeds. Reading through Science Alert, we noticed how an incredibly fast, quote, dark matter hurricane, end quote, is blowing past Earth right now. Okay. Not all of us believe in dark matter, but let's see what it is they're talking about. Now, for those of you who are not aware of what dark matter is purported to be, classical astronomy cannot seem to figure out how galaxies especially are able to maintain their motion using the gravitational accretion model to determine galactic motions. The problem with this is that they can't explain it because the classical cosmological model does not properly include electromagnetic fields in the model. Since they're using only gravity to determine what holds galaxies together, well, they had to make up a completely fictional particle called dark matter and dark energy. Anyway, apparently there's a turbulent space event right in our solar system. As the article says, it's one of the big conundrums of the universe, since we're spending billions and billions of dollars to discover something that has never been observed. What does it mean as far as its effects on our solar system? We have no clue. However, I hypothesize that it is an electromagnetic field of some sort. And what we're detecting is the energy in there in that electromagnetic field. These fields can be absolutely changed by dust, by plasma, by other fields. They can be hidden. They can move past each other. They can interfere. They can focus each other. So anyway, it'll be our best attempt to discover dark matter, as supposedly there's a whole bunch in our solar system right now. Please read the article. It's a little interesting. Just see here. Okay. It's the S1 stellar string. And here's another article from CNET. Apparently this is a leftover. A stellar stream is when a violent thing happens in a galaxy. There's some leftover energy. Or is it leftover energy, or is it still those same stars emitting electromagnetic fields? It's very hard to tell. Link to this article below. It is an interesting read. And by the way, it does not prove dark matter. WIMPs, weakly interacting massive particles, GIMPs, gravitationally interactive massive particles, never been proven to exist. Anyway, thanks everybody. Thanks featured channel. Shout outs to all those featured channels. Let's keep an eye on this Sunspot. I think it's just going to degrade. Thanks for tuning in. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the videos. More coming out daily. We're getting in the weeds. We're going out on limbs. Remember, when you're going out on a limb, don't drink. And if you drink, don't go out on a limb.